Hello, I'd like to welcome everyone to this presidential debate. Let's get started. This is for Dr. Jorgensen. You'll have 2 minutes to respond. Why are you a better choice than your opponent to create the kinds of jobs that will put more money into the pockets of American workers? Dr. Jorgensen?
The key to job creation and prosperity is keeping the money out of the hands of government and leaving it in the hands of companies that create the jobs. Money in the hands of business create twice as many jobs as that same money taken by the government. Both of my opponents have raised government spending and want to keep raising it. Both of my opponents want to add to our nation's debt and inflate the dollar, making the dollars of everyday Americans worth much less. As president, I will veto any spending bill that leads to a deficit. My goal is to both balance the budget and end the federal income tax. This will create millions of new jobs right here in America.
Thank you, Mr. Trump. The same question to you. It's about putting more money into the pockets of American workers. You have up to 2 minutes.
Thank you, Lester. Our jobs are fleeing the country. They're going to Mexico. They're going to many other countries. You look at what China is doing to our country in terms of making our product. They're devaluing their currency, and there's nobody in our government to fight them. And we have a very good fight, and we have a winning fight, because they're using our country as a piggy bank to rebuild China, and many other countries are doing the same thing. So we're losing our good jobs, so many of them. When you look at what's happening in Mexico, a friend of mine who builds plants said it's the 8th wonder of the world. They're building some of the biggest plants anywhere in the world, some of the most sophisticated, some of the best plants. With the United States, as he said, not so much. So Ford is leaving. You see that, their small car division leaving. Thousands of jobs, leaving Michigan, leaving Ohio. They're firing all of their people. All you have to do is take a look at Carrier Air Conditioning in Indianapolis. They fired 1,400 people. They're going to Mexico. So many, hundreds and hundreds of companies are doing this. We cannot let it happen. Under my plan, I'll be reducing taxes tremendously, from 35% to 15% for companies, small and big businesses. That's going to be a job creator like we haven't seen since Ronald Reagan. It's going to be a beautiful thing to watch. Companies will come, they will build, they will expand, new companies will start, and I look very, very much forward to doing it. We have to renegotiate our trade deals, and we have to stop these countries from stealing our companies and our jobs.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Trump. We do have to keep American jobs from leaving our country, and we're not going to do that by continuing to spend more money. The only way to keep companies here in our country is to cut the corporate income tax and allow the money to go to the hands of business people who know how to spend that money, as opposed to government bureaucrats who simply use it on their own pet projects.
Mr. Trump, you're calling for tax cuts for the wealthy. I'd like you to defend that. And the next 2 minutes are for you.
Well, I'm really calling for major jobs, because the wealthy are going to create tremendous jobs. They're going to expand their companies. They're going to do a tremendous job. I'm getting rid of the carried interest provision. And if you really look, it's not a tax. It's really not a great thing for the wealthy. It's a great thing for the middle class. It's a great thing for companies to expand. And when these people are going to put billions and billions of dollars into companies, and when they're going to bring $2.5 trillion back from overseas, where they can't bring the money back because politicians won't allow them to bring the money back because the taxes are so onerous and the bureaucratic red tape. So what is so bad? So what they're doing is they're leaving our country, and they're, believe it or not, leaving because taxes are too high and because some of them have lots of money outside of our country. And instead of bringing it back and putting the money to work because they can't work out a deal to, and everybody agrees it should be brought back. Instead of that, they're leaving our country to get their money because they can't bring their money back into our country because of bureaucratic red tape, because they can't get together, because we have a president that can't sit them around a table and get them to approve something. And here's the thing. Republicans and Democrats agree that this should be done.
All right, you have 2 minutes on the same question.
Tax cuts should be broad-based so they benefit everyone. My goal is to both balance the budget and end the federal income tax. That means a tax bracket of 0 for everyone. Ending the federal income tax will give an average American family $12,000 back every single year. That's money they can either spend, save, or give away to those who need help. No matter what people choose to do with the money they've earned, it will create far more investment in small businesses, far more jobs and prosperity than if that same money goes to government bureaucrats. Low taxes make it far easier for workers to support their families and make ends meet.
I'll ask this one to both of you. How would you prevent homegrown attacks by American citizens?
Well, first I have to say one thing, very important. If they left some troops behind, like 10,000 or maybe something more than that, and then you wouldn't have had them. Or, as I've been saying for a long time, and I think you'll agree because I said it to you once, had we taken the oil, and we should have taken the oil, ISIS would not have been able to form either because the oil was their primary source of income. And now they have the oil all over the place, including the oil, a lot of the oil in Libya, which was another one of her disasters.
Mr. Trump, talk about leaving troops behind. We are in almost 150 countries around the globe, and our military budget is more than the next 7 countries combined. We need to reduce the size of government and protect America's shores. You know, a lot of homegrown terrorist attacks in the United States are simply blowback for our military interventions overseas. The first thing we must do is to stop meddling around the world. As president, I will turn America into one giant Switzerland, armed and neutral. Our military will be armed, able, and ready to defend the life, liberty, and property of Americans against foreign aggressors. We will stop fighting undeclared foreign wars and leave wealthy European countries to fund their own defense. Year after year, politicians promise us peace, but they deliver us more war. My Democratic and Republican opponents have dragged us into every war, war after war after war. Today's wars have dragged on longer than any in our country's history, with absolutely no clear mission or endgame. As president, I will use my authority as commander-in-chief to bring our troops home from the Middle East and Afghanistan. As one giant Switzerland, armed and neutral, we'll slash government spending, taxes, and debt, and, even better, we'll finally be at peace with the world.
All right, well, that is going to do it for us. That concludes our debate this evening.